Is Gordon Hayward right? The ex-Boston Celtic spoke on Paul George's podcast recently and said that the 2018 to 2019 Boston Celtics had different agendas, and we'll be here to break that down and what he means, going over that 2018 and 2019 roster and diving into that. And we'll also be comparing that to the season stats of this year's Boston Celtics team, comparing the likes of both teams on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. Before we get into any Boston Celtics content, I'd like to say that roughly right around 80% of our viewers are not subscribed, and we'd greatly appreciate it if you hit that big old red subscribe button and join the Celtics Digest family. We're getting closer and closer to our goal of 3,000 subscribers, so if you want to make sure you stay up to date on daily Boston Celtics content, hit that subscribe button and join the family. You definitely will not regret it. But let's dive into the news at hand today, so make sure to grab a snack, as today is going to be a jam-packed episode as we dive in looking at how an ex-Celtic speaks out on their team's goals. And this ex-Celtic is Gordon Hayward, as we mentioned in the intro. He's went on Paul George's podcast, and we can look at this tweet here from Podcast P with Paul George. And this is the quote from Gordon Hayward. It said, we all had too many agendas, and the agenda to win the whole thing wasn't the main one. And that is Gordon Hayward on the shortcomings of the loaded 2018 to 2019 Boston Celtics roster. If you want to look at the video, you can just watch the video there, but we have some quotes that we picked from an article here that say that Gordon Hayward admitted that he was trying to prove he was healthy and still an all-star with this team. That was his agenda. Kyrie Irving was trying to prove it was still his team. And after leading the team to the Eastern Conference Finals the year prior, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Terry Rozier were trying to prove that they had arrived and could lead the way. At that point, Paul George chimed in and said, "Y'all were loaded." God, well, yes, Paul George, but that's the overwatching point here. Try to keep up. A team can be loaded, but that doesn't necessarily equate to winning. And I agree with the person that wrote this article, and I agree with what Gordon Hayward is saying. If we want to keep diving in, Hayward said there was too many players in the same position. They all needed the ball, and they all rocked with the ball. He said they had 5 players-only meetings, but those meetings were generally fruitless and cyclical. Things that were said were the right things, but just in one ear and right out the other, Hayward said. It's like, okay, that sounds nice. We do need people to sacrifice, but that person shouldn't be me. And it's likely because of the fact that who they had on their team. Like Gordon Hayward mentioned, it was just after he had his all-star season, and after his injury, he wanted to prove he was still an all-star capable small forward for this Boston Celtics team. A guy like Kyrie Irving, who had just left LeBron and wanted to prove he could be the number one option on a championship contending team, was still trying to prove that as well. While guys like Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown had just emerged from the depths of the Boston Celtics after Jayson Tatum had that ferocious dunk on LeBron James in Game 7. He realized that he had come to life and that he was going to be the future of this Celtics team. And a guy like Terry Rozier had a fantastic playoffs the year prior and was looking like one of the best guards for the Boston Celtics. That is because he was. And ultimately, that is what cost the Celtics that season. Just not being able to play and everyone needing to have the ball in their hands, like Gordon Hayward said. If we want to look back at that article, he says that there were too many players in the same position. Guys like Gordon Hayward, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, all primarily at that time played the small forward position, so it was very tough, and they all were viewed as dominant wings or wings that could control the game for the Boston Celtics, having Kyrie Irving and Terry Rozier as the two front court options, not really having a true center besides Al Horford at that time, kind of limited how the Celtics team could run their rotations. And like Gordon Hayward said, they definitely all needed the ball in their hands to function. And I totally agree here with Gordon Hayward on this scenario. As much as it was great to see that Boston Celtics team for 2018-2019 on paper look so fantastic, it just was not going to all work together, as, like he said, they all had different agendas that they were trying to push. But unlike what Gordon Hayward said, in which he said that they had 5 players-only meetings, and the meetings were generally fruitless and cyclical, where he said that the players were not willing to sacrifice their role, This is a new Celtics team that we have this season, talking about sacrifices, as the Celtics already had a players meeting at the start of the season when they discussed who would have to sacrifice their role. And even though everyone came to the conclusion Al Horford was willing to sacrifice his role for the team, and he has done that tremendously, but has also helped out the Celtics in ways in which the Celtics didn't know, and by helping out and standing out when he has a number called upon, when he is needed to start. And if we want to look at the Celtics stats so far this season, we can look at a tweet from Chris Forsberg here, looking at the highest net rating for the Celtics in the month of December, with Porzingis at a plus 17.3, Derrick White at a plus 15.3, Brissett at a plus 15, Jaylen Brown at a plus 14.7, and Kate at a plus 14.5. And the highest net rating differentials for the teams this month, was Derrick White at a plus 12.9, Jaylen Brown at a plus 11.4, and Kristaps Porzingis at a plus 10.2. And the Celtics went 12-2 with Jayson Tatum being negative 3-point net is wild. So yes, Jayson Tatum might not have had the most effective month for the Boston Celtics, but guys have stepped up when their star player hasn't had the most successful month. And guys of those being Kristaps Porzingis, even though he's been a little sprinkled with the injuries, he has performed greatly for the Boston Celtics in so many outings, especially versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Derrick White has had a fantastic month where he is trying to lead his all-star campaign, which I want to know if you guys think Derrick White is an all-star. Let me know in the comment section down below. But he's leading that propaganda, led by J.J. Redick and a bunch of other players that recognize how great Derrick White has been playing. He is truly being a fantastic Boston Celtic. And a guy that shocked me really much is Brissett, but he's brought in a lot of that offensive energy for the Boston Celtics in a recent couple of games with their lack of front court, getting a lot of offensive rebounds and helping out. And a guy like Jaylen Brown and Kate have stepped up tremendously. Kate, obviously, with Kristaps Porzingis injuries, putting up those 2 double-doubles was fantastic for the Boston Celtics. And Jaylen Brown has just been on a tear ever since he's spoken out at a plus 14.7 net rating and averaging a career high for the Celtics in recent games. Put a fantastic show on versus the Toronto Raptors. We're hoping for a fantastic showing from the Boston Celtics tonight as they get ready to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. As they took on the San Antonio Spurs in their last game, there was one person on the injury update, which was Jrue Holiday. And the Celtics have a clean slate of injuries going into tonight's game versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, which would be a fantastic battle as the Celtics, the top team in the Eastern Conference, takes on a top team in the Western Conference of the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have looked very young and promising with great players in Chet Holmgren, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, Lou Dort. We'll have to see how this Oklahoma City Thunder team plays against the Boston Celtics, as both of these teams are great on the offensive side and defensive side of the ball. So it should be a great contest and should be a tough one for the Boston Celtics, which should bring out a great game. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Celtics Digest. If you guys are still at this point in the video and still aren't subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow. We know you will appreciate it. I'm Bruce Veliz. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode here on Celtics Digest, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.